What's up, peeps? This week's podcast is sponsored by Brian Pfeiffer and Rockhopper Media. Rockhopper Media, providing professional designs with your budget in mind. Alright, what's happening? Come on in and sit down, pop a cold one, and chill with me, Pat Booze. That is right, it's another edition of Chillin' with Booze. I am Pat Booze. I'm a DJ, I'm a pro wrestling fan, I'm a cards fan, I'm a comic book freak, but most importantly, I'm an on-air personality and a podcaster. This podcast gets into the hearts and minds and souls of everyone with a story and anybody that wants to have their story told. Real quick, thanks to Brian Pfeiffer and Rockhopper Media for sponsoring the podcast again. Check him out on Facebook and have him get your website going. I told you before, he's working on mine as we speak, and he's doing an awesome job. So this podcast is going to be an interesting one. This time, we got Chelsea Williams. I've known Chelsea for the better part of 2 years, and she has an interesting story to tell. Chelsea is transitioning from female to male, and I'm really guessing a lot of people got triggered by that statement, but hey, open up your minds a little bit. Stay where you're at and just keep listening. Chelsea wants to educate people on what she's going through and the fact that she's finally able to be herself. She's transitioning to be able to be comfortable in her own skin. Thankfully, she has her wife Michelle there to help, and even Michelle joins in on the podcast too. Just wait till the final few minutes of this podcast when Michelle even kind of drops a bomb of her own. Chelsea kind of dives into what her everyday life is and the experiences that she goes through, not only being a lesbian, but also being transgender as well. So chill with me for a bit and educate yourselves. Just open up your mind. Okay, so I don't know if I should do the disclaimer now and apologize in advance, or wait till later and apologize. What do you think?
I don't know. Whichever.
It's just, I feel like I'm going to ask like a whole bunch of stupid questions at the same time, or I'm just going to come off as an idiot. So it's, I don't know. What do you think?
No question is a stupid question.
It's just stupid people.
Sometimes.
All right, Chelsea, how you been?
Alright.
So, real quick, I talked to a few of my friends that are actually involved, LGBT plus community, and there's a phrase I learned last night called your dead name. So is Chelsea still what you want to be referred to as, or?
For right now, yeah.
For right now. And, well, that's eventually going to be your dead name, right?
Yeah.
So, explain to me where the dead name just came up with. Where'd that originate, if you know?
Well, in a sense, like they say, once you transition, the old you is dead. So, it's pretty much, that's where it comes from, like, dead name, because all of the old you is no longer existent.
Gotcha. So, what's your new name gonna be? Cyrus. And for right now, your pronoun, do you still be referred to as she, her, and then eventually it's gonna change?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically just at the beginning of things,
yeah.
Right? And you told me before we started recording, you're doing the shots for testosterone.
Yeah.
How's that been so far?
Oh, it's all right. I mean, it's not that bad.
Yet, at least, right? Or is it? I mean, other than you probably get to see the smile on Shell's face anytime she has to inject you, basically.
Pretty much.
What was the other options other than shots? Was there did they give options for
they
gel
have a topical gel, but the only problem with that is it can rub off on everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
I actually had a number of years ago. I had to take androgel. I was taking that testosterone for a while, and it always felt like it was just sticking to my clothes when I had to just put it on my arms, So I can see where that was, and it apparently was pretty flammable too. So if you came next to a flame, you're just gonna spontaneously combust, basically.
That would be fun.
Okay, so real big question. How long have you really felt uncomfortable in your own body?
Um, Probably since I was about 15 or 16.
Hmm. And what was the issue that you were having?
Well, at first it was, I knew something was wrong, so, I started dating women, and then as time progressed, when I turned like 18, I cut all my hair off, and for the longest time I had a mohawk, and so that was, it kind of dimmed what was going on down, and then probably right before I got married, it like all kicked back up, and yeah, so
Why did it die down?
yeah.
Why did it die down though?
Why? I guess just because I'd taken steps to make myself more masculine, but I hadn't fully taken steps to make myself more masculine.
So when you say 15, 16, would that also be around the time you realized you were a lesbian?
Yeah.
Okay. So SRS surgery is pretty expensive, I'm guessing. And you said before it's more expensive for a guy to turn into a female than a female turn into a male.
Yes.
So how expensive are we looking at right now just for your transition?
I mean, the insurance covers most of everything but the testosterone. So like testosterone, what I'm on it's about $150 without like the good RX coupons and stuff.
You can actually get it, and you can get these shots like over the counter, right? Or they have to be prescribed.
They have to be prescribed, but you can pay for them. Just like if you were to go up to the counter and like buy Allegra or Claritin or something like that. I mean, it's about somewhere in the range of like, for all of it, probably about $15,000-$20,000.
Wow. And you said the insurance is covering that?
Yeah.
Because I read that most insurance companies really don't cover surgeries. They think of it as like a cosmetic type thing, so people normally have to pay out of pocket for it.
Yeah, they have like little foggy like guidelines and all kinds of appeals that you go through in order to pretty much get them to pay for it. So it's fun times.
How's that been?
You know,
about as well as be expected.
Yeah.
Insurance companies are the worst sometimes. So, how's your family been towards it? Because I know we've been friends for a while, and I remember during your guys' wedding there was some static going on with well, I think it was your mom. That was just that was before all this came about.
Yeah, there's always gonna be static. I mean, it's,
and I think static's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, it's a very nice way to put it. There's always going to be static because, you know, I am, at the end of the day, I was the first baby. So, you know, I'm the only girl that my mom has ever had. So, I think for her, it's more so that she's, like, losing, you know, that princess that she gave birth to, and it makes her feel some type of way, and she kind of just withdraws herself from the whole situation.
So she's not really around much at the moment?
I mean, not really. I call her every so often, but that's about it.
She doesn't ever call you?
No, not for real.
See, I don't understand why people just can't be accepting. That's just my opinion. I don't understand why people can't accept it.
Just the world we live in. It's good times.
I notice you say it with a smile on your face, but it doesn't.
I mean, it sucks because, you know, that's something that anytime you expect your parents to be there, but you kind of get over it. You live and you learn.
So I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, and I gotta ask Shell the same couple of things. So she's got to start thinking of some answers here. But apparently, she tells me before she doesn't think very well. So
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
She's not the brightest crayon in the batch, but it's okay. Okay, so hardest part of your journey together. I mean, okay, real quick, she's been probably super helpful towards
Yeah.
this. Tell me how helpful she has been, actually.
Well,
Other than giving you shots.
yeah, other than her shooting me, because that's what she does for fun. No,
Sadist.
I know, right? She's been super helpful. From scheduling doctor's appointments to dealing with the insurance companies to, pushing me, to keep going and keep pushing through it, because it can be very disheartening at times. So she's definitely been helpful.
So she's been like basically your rock towards this whole thing.
Yeah.
How was her initial reaction though when you first told her that you were wanting to become Cyrus, basically?
Her initial reaction was pretty much like, you think I didn't already know this?
She knew you too well.
She just knew me too well. It was one of those things where it was bound to come out, and when it did, it was no surprise.
That's awesome. That's awesome that she just was that strong. What about her family though? How has her family been?
I mean, they don't really look at it any different. They don't treat me any different, other than, her brother calling me a milk dud and telling me I look like a peanut because I don't have my mohawk anymore, but that's about it.
A peanut?
A peanut.
I mean, if you had the eye thing, I guess maybe you look like Mr. Peanut, but you don't have the eye thing, so. What have you been using? Like do you have any inspirations out there? That people that you look up to, or like, would it be kind of cliche to say like somebody like Caitlyn Jenner?
No, I mean not necessarily. A couple years ago, like way before Michelle and I got together, I had an ex-girlfriend and we went and saw Laverne Cox. And if anybody has, heard the name, most of the time it's associated with the great Netflix series Orange is the New Black. And she was at UMSL doing like a Q&A session or whatever, and she was just talking about what it was like to be, a transgender male to female and what all she went through, and it's eye-opening to think of the things that, it's hard enough to be a female going to a male, but to hear the types of things that men go through in order to be women is just utterly ridiculous. I thought it was bad on our end. It's terrible.
How terrible? How?
I mean, when you're male to female, they go in and they pretty much chisel down your jawline to make it more feminine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just not fun.
That's just like the tip of the iceberg.
That's the tip of the iceberg. I definitely wouldn't want to go through that. So.
What is it like towards for women though to become men?
I mean,
because I know you're. Not to get too personal on it, are you wearing a binder basically?
I'm not. No. But some people, they wear binders. I mean, for women transitioning to men, it's pretty much just getting a shot, having, what they call top surgery and bottom surgery, and that's about, the extent of the cosmetic procedures that you go through. So it's not too terrible, but it's not, necessarily like a walk in the park either.
No, any surgery, it's going to be hard and it's going to be stressful, but this one's probably...
it's probably going to be the most stressful.
It's going to be really up there. Talk to me about the recovery time for a surgery.
Everybody's different. From what I've looked up and seen, typically it's about 4 to 6 months for the bottom surgery. The top surgery just depends. It just depends on how long the skin grafts take to, heal and all that fun jazz. So,
Have you figured out which hospital you're going towards?
Not yet. Still working on that. It's really a insurance based thing.
Mm.
And
Like I
clearly
said,
don't
you
want
said
to
before,
go
you're
to
still in the beginning
Alcatraz and
stages.
have them, operate on me. That's probably not a good idea.
Say what?
I don't want to go to Alcatraz and have them operate on me because I probably would come back looking all kinds of funky.
Alcatraz, the prison.
Yeah, the prison. See, so
I don't know if they would do that there,
well,
but
I would hope not.
I'm pretty sure that place is like nothing but a tourist attraction at the moment. But
Well, that would be something, wouldn't it?
I mean, have you talked to any doctors yet about anything, or it's
Not yet. Next 2 months from now, I go in to do my 3-month blood check. So he'll check my levels, and everything, and then from there, we'll see where we sit as far as the dosage and everything else.
What part are you looking forward to the most, like, getting after everything's said and done?
Once it's all said and done.
What are you looking forward to the most?
Probably just being able to feel comfortable in my own skin. Like, feeling comfortable enough to go out and do things and to go places and...
What about, because the thing was, I was gonna try to make a joke into it a little bit.
Jesus.
Not really make a joke into it, but basically, are you looking for, like, growing a beard and stuff like that?
See, I've already shaved it once because it was getting on my nerves and it was coarse and wiry and all my little hairs were going everywhere. So
It's not for everybody sometimes.
And so now it's growing back and we'll have to see how it goes. I don't know.
What's been, like, one thing you've dealt with, like, having testosterone that you weren't... Because you've talked to me before about being a guy in general, and what's one thing you've been, like, struggling with it a little bit?
Man, I tell you what, I can definitely say the body odor thing is it's no bueno. I went from, taking showers, once every other day or... whatever. And now I'm lucky if I can, get out the week without having to take a shower every day. So
It's, being a guy, it's no picnic, in all honesty. I mean, it's, we do have massive amounts of body odor.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I will openly
times.
admit it. But you said you were struggling, though, with, the beard. Was it just, trying to grow it out, or...
I don't know what it was doing with this life. Half of it was, longer than the rest of it. And I was I'm just going to cut it off and start from scratch and let it grow and see how it goes. And it's growing back, so we'll see.
You told me that, basically, when a guy transitions to female, they chisel down his jawline. What do they do, facial wise, for female to male, though?
I mean, normally it's not a whole lot that gets done as far as plastic surgery wise on the face, just because the testosterone itself it redistributes the weight and it redistributes redistributes a lot of things, and so the jawline will seem it'll come across more masculine and such. So I don't have to go through them poking me in the face or anything.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah. So
it's a good thing about testosterone. It kind of helps in a way.
Yeah, because there's only so much estrogen can do.
How is it now, the community and just society now versus how it used to be? I remember reading a fact that doctors said you'd have to be living as the opposite gender for, 2 years? Or maybe it was either a year or 2 years before they would even consider doing the surgery.
It's still about the same before doctors will go in and do any, suggest any kind of surgery. You have to be on testosterone for a year. That's the base of what they set it as. But as far as the community, it's gonna sound really strange, but the LGBT community is actually more judgmental than like just your everyday community.
Really?
Because there's, you know, there's a sense of what masculinity should entail, and for some people, you know, if you like, if you were raised around a bunch of women and you were raised as a man, you're going to have more natural women-like tendencies, such as the way you pronounce things, your motions, how you view things. And when you go to switch over, sometimes it's not necessarily viewed as you're feminine or you're masculine enough. It's almost like everybody else's community took a step forward and the LGBT community took a step backward.
Really, something I never knew. Like,
yeah, you would think it would be the opposite way, but it's not.
What, like, have you like faced anybody or?
No, I mean, I know people that have. Like, I have a buddy that he's transitioning, and he goes through it all the time where, you know, he's a big part of the LGBT community, and, you know, there's times where they tell him that, you know, he's not masculine enough, and it's a bunch of fiasco. It's all it amounts to.
Is it just the way it is here in Illinois, or is it like, have you dealt with it, like anybody from the community in Missouri, or is it just?
I think it's just an all around community thing. I just think I've always said, you know, what we don't understand is more frightening than what we do, and I think that's all it comes down to. I think if people actually educated themselves on what goes on, it wouldn't be as bad as it is. The community was created, you know, to create a safe haven, but it goes the opposite way. So
This is like really interesting. I've never heard anybody saying that they have somebody within the community has said they actually had issues with the community itself.
Yes.
I've met so many people saying like they're just happy with the community. Granted, there's like a lot of BS that happens every once in a while,
right?
But still,
I mean,
who's to say you're not like what do you mean not masculine enough? That makes no sense.
It's one of those things where people, they get a certain like okay, I'll use for example when I was growing up, you know, I'm mixed, so my grandparents that raised me were African American, but my grandmother worked for the government and my grandfather was in the military, so proper English, proper grammar, you know, all of that stuff was very highly taught in my house. And growing up, I've had, and it still happens to this day, where I have people that tell me, oh, you're not black enough. You talk like a white guy. Or you talk like a white girl. And it's one of those situations where people feel like, oh, if you're not, you know, using Ebonics and can't pronounce words, then you don't fall under the category of being black. You're automatically assumed to be white, which, I mean, it is what it is. It's just how people work.
That's insane. I mean, I think I've heard stories about that kind of stuff. Like Russell Wilson, he was going through that when he was like 2 seasons ago with the Seahawks. They said the main problem with his teammates, he's not black enough.
Right, but it's,
I guess,
teach their own.
Yeah, to each their own, I guess. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry you have to go through that. Yeah. I mean, so if you had to tell someone, okay, say you meet a stranger on the street and they ask you and whatnot, and you go through the whole rigmarole, what do you want people to learn about being trans and like what you're going through? Because it's obviously not easy.
I mean, it's not easy. You can tell people a million times to educate themselves, but at the end of the day, for how many years have we been telling people to educate themselves about just about anything? At the end of the day, it really all comes down to what people do to put themselves in the know. I mean, it's really a personal journey, and I'll tell people time and time again, you either can join or you can walk away from it. At the end of the day, it's your loss. When a person transitions, the person they were before their transition doesn't change. If you were a giant D-bag before you transitioned, guess what? When you transition, you're still going to be a giant D-bag. So, the person doesn't change. It's just the exterior changes. They're still the same person. If they didn't like scary movies before, chances are they're not going to like scary movies after. People think that, oh, you're a totally different person. No, you're the same person. You just look different.
That's a great explanation. Seriously, I've never heard anybody explain it like that.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just hope that kind of educates some people towards what it's like. And then, what was your opinion during the whole bathroom issue? If you had anything on that.
Being able to have transgender bathrooms, this, that, and the other. My whole take on it was, it's a bathroom. Everybody goes to the bathroom to do the same thing. As long as you're, if you're not peeking under the stall or looking through the door, how do you know whether or not it's a man or a woman that's in the bathroom next to you?
Exactly. That was my whole thing.
I mean,
it's like one of those things like, why are you peeking under the stall, Linda? Mind your own business,
right.
That kind of shit.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I've had people that, like, when I worked at Menards, there was a lady, I went to the bathroom, to go to the bathroom. I walked in the bathroom, I went to the bathroom. I was standing at the sink, and this lady comes in the bathroom. I'm standing at the sink, washing my hands, walks back out the bathroom, goes and looks at the sign, and walks back in the bathroom and looks at me. And I'm just standing there like, okay, so I'm going to wash my hands, and I'm going to walk out the bathroom, and I'm going to go back to work. Well, what is the difference? Were you looking to make sure you were in the right bathroom? Because I knew where I was supposed to be.
Is that like the main difficulty that you've ever had to deal with? Or what's the hardest thing you've had to deal with just being a lesbian?
Just being a lesbian?
Like, do you have any, like, issues?
Oh.
Like, I feel like I'm opening up a can of worms on this one.
Being a lesbian it's a whole sense of just, it's entertaining all in itself. My favorite comment that I've ever had is that, I've just never met the right man. And I'm like, dude, I meet men all the time. And I meet them, and that's about all. I mean, it's hilarious to watch and to see, and, like, especially when you go to gay bars and, gay clubs. It's entertaining to see the amount of straight men that go into these places trying to catch a lesbian that they feel like they can convert back to being straight. So they get mad because you have all these gay men that are like, trying to like touch their butts and, whatever. But you set yourself up for these things. You are in a gay club. Why do you think it's called a gay club? It's not because it sounds nice. It's because 99.9% of the people in there are either gay, they're bisexual, they're lesbian, they're trans, one or the other. And you expect to be able to walk in there and not get harassed by a gay man if you are what one considers an attractive man. I mean,
I can't believe guys actually do that kind of
yes,
stuff.
it happens all the time.
I've never heard that before.
Yes. We went to a movie the other night, and we went to go see 50 Shades Freed. And I'm standing there, waiting on the wife, and this man, totally gay, whatever, have a bunch of gay friends, I don't care. He he's standing over there, and he's looking at the wall, like there's a screen there that's got like different stuff going through it. And I just so happened to turn, and he was standing there, and he's like, "Oh, I was just looking at the screen." And I was like, "You're all good." And he's like, "Sorry, bud." And I was like, "It's whatever." And so, the wife is like, "Yeah, she's just off in her own little world." And he kind of got all sad and depressed, and he was like, "Oh." And then I guess she went to do something, and next thing I know, he was over there like, "Is there a button on the side of this?" And I'm like, if there was, I would have been changing the channel like a long time ago. And I'm like, well, I guess you look at it one of two ways. I got hit on by a gay man, or he thought I was a gay man. So I don't know. And the wife's been fucking bugging me about it ever since, and
if nobody could hear that comment, Charles just said he was wanting to take you inside of his red room, and for those that don't know, it's a 50 Shades of Grey.
It's a reference, so she thinks she's funny, but
I've seen the first one, I just haven't seen the second one or the third one, and
the third one is the best.
Trust me, my wife has been trying to get me to watch the second one.
I'll tell you, the third one is really good. I wasn't a big fan of the first one, but the third one doesn't really follow the same line. It's not like, whereas the first one was all about, let's get naked and have sex 24/7. This one's more, it's actually got a storyline behind it. So it's actually pretty good. It's not...
I remember the first one, there was a lot of shots of Dakota Johnson's breasts and...
what's his face? Yeah.
What's his nuts ass, apparently.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know. I watched like 15 minutes of the first one and went to sleep. I was done with it.
Is it you that's the fan of it, or is it...
It's the wife, it's not I.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's the fan
but
of
she's
it.
not denying it either, so...
Yeah, well, she's goob, so I don't know what to say about that. There's nothing to do with her sometimes. But let her be a goob on home.
So... issues basically not only getting hit on by gay guys.
It's a good time.
You see the random stuff going on at the gay clubs.
Yeah.
And you think there are issues inside the LGBT community. How do you think they fix it though?
I mean, I don't know that there is any fixing it. I think a lot of it comes down to the people that are, I don't want to say they're just trying to be with the in crowd or what they feel like's cool, but it's those people that make it so hard for actual people that are going through gender dysphoria to get themselves on the right track. That's why they make you wait a year before you can do anything else, because there are so many people that they want to, they say they want to transition, they want to do this, they want to do that, and then once they start on it, all of a sudden they want to stop because they figured out, oh, well, it's not really something I want to do. I just wanted to do it because, all my friends were doing it. I don't know. I guess it's like doing drugs.
That makes it harder on those that are trying to go through it.
Yeah, because we have to jump through all the same hoops because they make it hard on everybody else. It's like that rule from high school. If so many people before you mess it up, then you have to pay the price. That's how it goes. So at the end of the day, we're all stuck kind of following the same trend and following the same path, even though that may not be the original plan. I mean, it's one of those things where they do it because they're trying to weed out the people that aren't actually trying to transition, which I can understand. but at the same time, it's frustrating.
I mean, I can see why they make. I can see why they make you wait a year, but then I can understand. But then at the same time, it's kind of stupid. For those, like you said, it's for those that decide against going through the transition and realize, oh, I don't know if I want to go through all the process. I don't know if I really want to go through everything that it entails. So in that year's time, they have a chance to back out. But for those that want to continue on, that want to do the surgery, it just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, but, you know, what can you do? I don't have an MD behind my name or a PhD behind my name, so I just follow what I'm told. I do what I'm supposed to. You know, I mean, there's a lot of interesting people in this world. That's what I've learned. I've learned that very, very well. There's very interesting people, and they make the world go round, and everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Unfortunately, that does seem to be the case. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, even if it is a wrong opinion.
Well,
so,
hey.
All right, what do you say we get Shell over here?
Yeah, let her go through the fiasco.
Shell?
It's your turn. Haha.
So I'm just dealing with work stuff.
I got the laundry soap. Eat it.
I love how she says work stuff when you gotta put air quotes around it.
It is work stuff.
You're hawking jewelry, Shell.
I'm selling jewelry.
Shout out to paparazzi jewelry.
Right.
All right, Shell, how's it going?
Good.
This is like the first time I've ever done like a 2-part interview, basically podcast type of deal. So this is gonna be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So I got Chelsea's portion when about how you reacted. Tell me your reaction. Like, how did you react? Like, out of your own words versus Chelsea's words.
She told me that she, felt like she was, in the wrong skin, per se, and that she wanted to become a man. And we had been together for 4 years now. And I had already picked up on things like she wears men's clothing. She wears, men's
she was
deodorant.
She was wearing a suit.
She wore a suit
for the
at the wedding.
Yeah.
A tux at the wedding. Yeah. So like I already knew.
It's a very nice suit, by the way, Chelsea. Just saying.
That suit over there, that picture.
Yeah.
I already knew that she was, heading in that direction, so it wasn't a shock to me. It's pretty much.
So she said you were pretty accepting. So, I mean, what else could you be?
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, either you take it and live with it, or you leave it. But I love her too much to leave it. So.
That's good. That's awesome, because you don't see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I still love you," even though you're transitioning. They kind of like, it's kind of like a freak out moment for some people, and that's how they end up leaving. I've heard so many stories about that kind of stuff. And I know you're getting the sick pleasure of doing the shots and whatnot.
Yes. The first 2 shots we actually went. The gentleman showed us how to do it the first time, or he showed me how to do it the first time. The second time, he watched me do it, and so now we just do them here at home instead of having to drive over to Missouri.
Is it a shot in the arm or a shot?
It goes in her thigh. It goes in the outside of her thigh.
Ow.
Well, it could go in her butt, but she'll tell you she's got a little butt, so she won't let me put it there. So it does go in the outside of her thigh, like in the muscly part of your thigh.
So before being with her, have you ever been with anybody that was trans?
No. Chelsea was the first girl I've ever been with. I've been with several men in my life. I actually have a son. His father actually abused me for 7 years. And then I got out of that, and then...
Glad you were able to get out of that.
I just kind of...
Wasn't he supposed to show up to the wedding? Or wasn't there a fiasco with that going?
Yeah, he came to pick up our son from the wedding, and, it was supposed to be after the wedding was over, but, of course, it had to be on his time. So he doesn't like Chelsea because he feels like our son likes Chelsea more than he likes him, which really he does. He won't go out there anymore. He'd rather stay home with Chelsea than to go to his dad's house.
Nothing wrong with that.
So I feel like his dad feels like, Chelsea's trying to take his spot.
When you do a piss poor job of being a father, so what the hell?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to try to ask this question, and it's going to sound stupid. This is probably going to be the dumbest question I ask, and I'm going to see if I can word it right. Okay, your sexual orientation is you are a lesbian.
I am a lesbian now, yes.
And when does your orientation change when Chelsea goes to the transition?
We were talking about that. Technically, yes, we would go back to being straight. It would be a straight couple because I'm a female and she will, after both of her surgeries, she will be classified as a male. Like, you have to get your gender changed on your birth certificate, you have to get your gender changed on your license and everything. So once she completely transgenders and we get her name changed, then we have to go and we have to get our license renewed, our wedding license, with her legal name on it. So
how do you feel about the name Cyrus?
That's actually the name that I chose.
Oh.
She liked Titan or something like that, and it just doesn't sound right to me.
Titan?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound... It's masculine, but it doesn't sound like a real person's name.
Right.
I mean, it not to sound like a jackass or anything, but it almost sounds like a stripper name. But
And
then again, so does Cyrus.
But then again, she told me she wanted to keep it with a C so that her initials would stay the same.
Okay.
Because her initials are CCW right now. So Cyrus fit in with the C, and so it'll actually be Cyrus Caden Cooper. She added a whole second middle name
Four
with
names.
her transgender.
Sounds like she's from Boston.
So, I mean, I feel like she wanted to be like our son. He has 2 middle names. So.
That's cool. I mean, Titan, though. Where did she come up with Titan?
I don't know.
Okay, what's been the hardest part of your journey together? I mean, initially being a lesbian couple probably not easy, specifically when you're in the Midwest, when you're full of idiots. So
I actually have not had any problems with me becoming a lesbian. My mom was the first person I talked to about it, and she told me that she felt like I was headed that way, because when she was younger, she actually did have relations with a woman as well. But she said, like, the way that I was acting towards men, like, I apparently was changing the way I was acting towards men. Chelsea's been the only female that I've ever had attractions to. It's kind of weird. But the biggest problem that I'm going to say, is with her mom. Her mom doesn't like me because I took her baby.
I remember there was some static going on at the ceremony and reception. I remember that.
Right.
She tried taking over the planning and whatnot from you, and that pissed you off. So that's the one thing you don't do. Day of a wedding, you don't piss off the bride. And you were pretty upset the first couple hours there.
I was. I don't know. I kind of got over it, and I was just like, just let her do her thing. And
well, she didn't stick around long either.
She did. She stayed there. She did all the makeup for the girls, and then
I mean, like into the reception part.
in the reception, she was still there. Chelsea's stepdad came, so she was outside with him for quite a while, which is actually Chelsea's little brother's dad. So, yeah. So she was still there physically, but she was not in there.
Gotcha. So would you say that's been like the most difficult thing you've had to deal with, like, in general?
Yeah. Like, I mean, we get looks and stuff when we're out places, like, as if, the LGBT is not something that everybody knows about. But, like, when people see you as a female walking with another female, they still give you, like, the side eye and stuff like that. But I would say her mom is the biggest issue that I've had to deal with. Because, her mom basically disowned her for a while, and therefore Chelsea didn't want to go through with it. She didn't know how everybody else was going to react.
Becoming trans, or like...
Yeah, becoming trans.
Okay.
Because that's when her mom disowned her. And then, I have a underlying medical issue, which her mom always throws up. And so it's just been a huge struggle.
What do you mean she throws up?
I have HIV. So her mom swears that she's going to get it, which she's not because I'm undetectable. I've been undetectable since about 2 months after they found it. I got it from a lovely gentleman over in Missouri.
I had no... Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
You're HIV positive?
I am.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
You've never told me that before.
So her mom swears she's going to get it. My infectious disease doctor said that there's no way that she will get it because I am undetectable. Undetectable means that it is still, like, in your body, but it's technically dormant, so it's not active. So I have to take medicine every day to keep it that way. So, yeah, her mom, like, ever since her mom found out, that's been the biggest struggle, I swear. Her mom. And then when she found out they were going to try and have a baby, that was even worse. So.
I am floored right now. I feel bad I consider you guys friends, and I had no idea, and I am sorry I did not know that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's probably something you don't talk about that much, because you and I, we've talked, we've been friends for, like, what, almost 2 years now.
Yep. I used to not talk about it at all. I've actually started to talk about it more. The St. Clair County Health Department keeps sending me letters where they want me to be an advocate, where I would go and talk to people about, this is what's going to happen if you don't, wrap it and whatnot. And so, and then once you get it, all you got to do is go through these steps and you'll be okay. Like when I got diagnosed, I swore I was going to die.
That was fun.
But I just took the medicine that they told me, and
How many pills a day do you gotta take?
when I started off, it was 3 pills a day, and now I just take 1 pill.
Wow.
I've had it since 2014? 13. Either 2013 or 2014. So.
Now I feel bad anytime I ever picked on you. God. Like such a jerk.
That's actually one reason me and Chelsea got really close, is because, I would talk to her about it because I swore I was going to die. Like.
That's all I ever heard.
I still use it all the time, like,
I'm gonna die.
you need to do this because I'm dying. Like, I'm literally not dying. I have a very high immune system. Like, a regular immune system's between 800 and 1200, and mine is 2500. So my immune system's, like, way up there. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon.
You still get sick.
Unfortunately, sometimes.
Oh, shit. I feel like this is like another podcast. We're going to have to do it another time. I feel like this podcast is mainly supposed to be about just about Chels, but
It's all good.
But this, I feel like I got to come back and do another one with you about you being HIV. So
About life.
about life, yeah. I mean, life in general. Holy crap! All right, I think that's where we're gonna call it on this one. I mean, real quick though, you tell me anything. Have you had any issues with like the LGBT community? Because I know Chels was saying that they're being judgmental towards her, with her saying, "Oh, you're not masculine enough" and stuff like that, and those kind of issues. But what about you though?
I really haven't had any issues, like, besides, when people found out that I was with a woman that's transitioning to a man, like, people are always like, well, how does that make you feel? Because you used to be straight, and then you turned lesbian, so now you're going back straight? Like, how does that work? It's just kind of...
Because I think, too, one of the reasons I wanted to ask that question was also Beth asked me that same thing, because she had no idea either.
Yeah.
And
so technically, I was never, completely lesbian, because since I have had sexual intercourse with a man, and then when I got with Chelsea, that makes me a bisexual. So I will still be considered a bisexual because I did have sex with a woman, but we would be a straight couple.
All right, well, there you have it, Chel's story, and you got a bonus with Michelle. Literally, I started tearing up after she told me about her condition. She's going to be on the podcast next, and Chel's will be as well. We got to have both opinions towards this story. Speaking of Chel's, she is so strong, and I am proud to be able to call her a friend. Hopefully, this will open some people's eyes towards those that are transitioning. It's a big deal. Hopefully, this next year can go by fast enough for her, and then maybe the next time Chel's is on after Michelle's podcast, she'll become Cyrus. Hopefully, I didn't sound too dumb with some of my questions or trying to spit them out. Thanks again to Brian Pfeiffer at Rock Hopper Media. So that does it for this podcast. Stay tuned for another coming up very soon.